The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoyevsky. I previously read or tried to read Dostoyevsky's book Notes from Underground a couple years ago, but I didn't like it at all. There was just nothing I liked about it. So I was really pessimistic about reading another Dostoyevsky book. Whenever someone comes into the bookstore interested in Dostoyevsky, the bookstore owner recommends The Idiot. And the reason he says is he thinks it's just a good starting point for getting into Fyodor Dostoyevsky. The book is about this guy, Prince Mishkin. I never know how to pronounce things. He is a Russian prince, but even though he is like an idiot and people don't really regard him very well, he is a good-hearted, kind-hearted guy. And this contrasts with the main female character of the book, who is like widely popular by people. She is quite beloved, but she's not really a good, kind-hearted person. She's kind of a little bit crazy. Even though that sounds well and good, and I understand what Dostoyevsky was doing, he had, the main character who is not very popular, but he's good on the inside. And then the other character who is popular is bad on the inside. But kind of the problem with the book, why it didn't really work for me as well as it could have or should have, I think is because the characters were just so flat. So, I mean, of course the prince looks like a good character because there's simply no other good characters in the novel. There's no really kind characters in the book besides the prince. There's no real empathetic characters or whatever, no real relatable characters in the book besides the prince. So, of course, the prince looks great because he's compared to all these other characters who are just bland and weak and not interesting. The biggest flaw for the book for me is the length. I read 200 pages of this book and there were still 450 pages to go, and the first 200 pages was simply not good enough to justify reading the next 450 pages. I just didn't really care. So the book had some qualities, I guess. Some parts I really liked. For instance, a scene where the prince is talking about this woman he knew in Switzerland who has, I think, tuberculosis. That was a real good scene. I enjoyed reading that, but it just didn't really feel good enough to make me want to read this, 650 page book. It's just too long. The characters are not really interesting, even though I like the idea of what he's going for with a character who's good on the inside and a female love interest or whatever who is bad on the inside. But the characters are simply not interesting enough to read this 650 page book. The scenes, the plot, what happens is just not really interesting. It's basically all these characters randomly kind of get in rooms together and just talk, and boring things kind of happen, and that's supposed to, I don't know. Anyway, I just didn't really like this book. So I'd give it like 2 stars for starting potential, and then maybe an extra star just for like some of the writing I enjoyed and whatever. So 3 stars for